Now a tuple is created by placing all the items or elements inside of the brackets, and we separate each element by a comma, just like we saw with lists. So we could start by typing my_tuple, and we can set this to a set of brackets, and inside the brackets we can have integers, so we can put 1, 2 and 3. If we run this, this would be a valid tuple. We can mix data types, so we can also have my_tuple_1, and we can set this equal to brackets, and then we can have an integer as the first element, so let's put 1. We could then have a string as the second element, so let's put the word hello. And then we could have a floating point number as the third element, so we could put 2.5. When we run the myTuple1 variable, we get a valid tuple. Now we can also have nested elements inside of our tuple. So if we now create a variable called my_tuple_2, we can set this equal to a set of parentheses, and then the first element may be a string, so we can put football. The second element may be another data structure like a list, so we can put in square brackets some integers, so 1, 2, 3. And then the last element, we can include a nested tuple, so we can put another set of brackets, and inside these brackets we can put our nested tuple elements. So we could have integers, mixed data types, strings, whatever we want. So let's just put 2 strings, hello and goodbye. When we print out myTuple2, we get a valid tuple returned. Now a tuple can also be created without using the parentheses, and this has a special term called tuple packing. So let's see an example as to how this works. So we can have a tuple called my_tuple_3, and we can simply put elements to the right hand side of our assignment operator separated by a comma, but just remove the parentheses. So let's put 1, comma, then we'll put a string of Spain, then we'll put a comma, and then we'll put a list of integers 1, 2 and 3. Now when I print my_tuple_3, you can see that we get a tuple returned. So even though the parentheses are optional, it is good practice to use them, as when you see the brackets, it becomes more clear as to what the code is doing. Now interestingly, creating a tuple with one element may not work in the way you expect it to. So for example, if we have my_tuple_4, and we set this equal to a set of parentheses, and inside the parentheses we put the string hello. When we now print out the type of my_tuple_4, you'll notice that we get a string object back. So in order to create a tuple representation of one element, inside the brackets we actually need to put a comma after the first element, even though we're not going to put a second element. When we now print the type of my_tuple_4, we return the type tuple. Now once again, parentheses are optional in this case, so we could remove the parentheses, but we'd still need to put a comma after the first element in order for the type to be recognized as a tuple. So in a very similar way to lists, we simply add elements to our brackets and we separate them by a comma. We can include any data type or structure, so integers, floating point numbers and strings, and we can even include other data structures such as lists or tuples.